Going once, going twice, going thrice, we are live again. How are you? And I hope you are doing well wherever you are around the world. It's a beautiful Monday. It is Monday the 29th of January. Just a second here. And it's a good time to look at the news, what's happening around the world and what is affecting us. Check my mic, everything okay? So hope you're okay, and once again, welcome to the Joshua Jehudah Show, where we talk about the latest and awareness and mindset and health, wealth, and news that affects you. And yes, today we are talking about news that might affect you directly or indirectly, but this is about the ongoing war that we've been hearing about. Some are involved, some are not involved, some can just see the parts, some might be directly involved, but some might be being affected indirectly, and some are just hearing about it. But as you can see, now it is getting to a point whereby the whole world seems that it needs to be involved in other people's wars. Yes, we have the war in the Middle East, but the war with Russia and Ukraine now is attracting more parties inside. And now it looks like, hopefully it won't be true, but it looks like the British citizens might be recruited. I hope it is just news and it's not actually going to happen. But as I said in my article on Sky News, the British generals say that, oh, we might just have to recruit some people here so that we can, enlist the war. Like, why do you want to recruit others to join the war? Why the British? To be honest, as somebody made a joke on TikTok, the British people, the citizens, want to join the army. Like, won't even have enough. I don't think there's a lot of citizens who can fight, to be honest. Like, that's not a good idea, many people are saying. What do I say? Yeah, definitely not a good idea. Because most British citizens are relaxed, chill, they're not really army oriented. They're more on something else, and taken to the army, I don't think it would be good. It's better those who are trained. But the most British public, I don't think fighting will be the war, will be the thing. You can contribute by, support or that, but, well, that's what the big boss said. So the British army may have no choice but to enlist citizens as country not ready for Russian threat, says former colonel. That's on Sky News. On Independent, Britain's first call up to fight in the armed forces if UK goes to war with Russia. Top army chief warns. So that's the heading, but underline it says British men and women should be prepared for a whole of nation undertaking if NATO goes to war with Russia, warns the head of the British Army. So a former colonel in the British Army says the country may have to opt for conscription in the event of a conflict with Russia, and claimed the military's recruiting system has failed miserably. So if you are British, or if it affects you, doesn't matter. Guess what? Looks like fingers crossed they might have to call you or us to come. Hey, you live here, you're British, join army, mate. And we all know what conscription is. Conscription is the state mandated enlistment of people in a national service, mainly a military service. Conscription dates back to antiquity, and it continues in some countries in the present day under various names. And sometimes there are consequences if you say no. So it's like you must have to go to war. If not, it's imprisonment or jail or punishment for not accepting that. Yes, so that is conscription. So when you use is conscription coming back, and how it's been used in previous wars in the UK. So some say they love the idea of conscription. Well, others say, oh no, it's not possible, we don't want that in the UK. But so they might be a vote again. So it says here more than a third of under 40s would refuse conscription in the event, and is much more. So far there has never been, the UK Army has almost never had conscription during its more than 360-year history. Well, I'll leave it at that. But yeah, definitely. So what's happening is now the war is spilling onto the British citizens who are living life peacefully, enjoying ourselves, going to the pub, watching our football, right? Welcoming people in, and now we have to be alert just in case people say, hey, you gotta go to war. Like, why? As long as going to the pub, watching a bit of footy, and that's it, we are done. Now we have to be including the war as well. Core blimey. I'm not having it, mate. We are not having it, mate, are we? We are not having it, mate, at all. No, matey, I don't think we want to do that. We can pass our, our emotions and our support, but that's it. So yeah, the British Army, this is an article on Sky News. I shall read for you the article when the site comes up. So yeah, you see me there? Am I lovely facing the way? Not really. So yeah, British Army, this is the Sky News, by the way, those who I'm reading from this article. That is skynews.com. So British Army may have no choice but to enlist citizens as country not ready for Russian threat, says former colonel. Not trained personnel, but citizens. So just before last year, they were enlisting in Ukraine. They were enlisting anyone, librarians, apparently people working in stores, to join the fight because there were no men left. And now, I think it's happening in the UK. It's this idea. anyone who's just a citizen, doesn't matter. Hey, you in a wheelchair, come here, get over here. Hey, matey, get over here, mate. Get a gun. Go to war. Look, mate, I'm in the pub. Oh, I'm chilling out. No, mate, it's a conscription. So now it is being taken. Oh, sometimes we look at others and say sorry, and you think it may never happen to you. But now, guess what? It is at our doors. That is a lesson learned from me. What is affecting your neighbor can one day affect you. You may say sorry, you may laugh, but you never know, you might be next. Lesson learned. We became too comfortable. Like, nah, no chance, mate. No, we're right here, mate. Nah, we'll help them, but nah, never. But guess what? The colonel, a former colonel in the British Army, says the country may have to opt for conscription in the event of a conflict with Russia, and claimed the military's recruiting system has failed miserably. Yeah, I don't think we do recruit that well in the UK. I don't think it's quite prominent for recruiting. It's mostly people who are overbroad who joined the British Army, to be honest. Not very many citizens want to join the army in the UK. I don't think so at all. Why should we anyway? We're happy the way we are. So for those who want to know, conscription, this is on Wikipedia, also called the draft in the United States. This is the state-mandated enlistment of people in the national service, mainly a military service. Conscription is also called the draft in the US. This is the state-mandated enlistment of people in a national service. So mainly a military service. So that is what conscription means. The actual definition of the word itself. You can see there's some articles here. Downing Street rules out UK conscription as Russia war militarizes. Downing Street is where the Prime Minister resides, for those who are not familiar. But it looks like it's making a comeback. The Guardian says that. So why Boris Johnson and other men like him love the idea of conscription. According to Sky News, the UK Army has almost never had conscription during its more than 360-year history. So since the 1700s, I think. Yeah. No, 1600s. There has been no conscription. Since before 1640, I'm guessing, 44. That's roughly 360 years. There was no conscription in that. But now we are seeing that it might have a comeback. You know, sometimes we are so comfortable. But here, that was World War II. The National Service Act imposed conscription on all males aged between 18 and 41 who had registered for service. That was in World War II, but those who are registered. So you can see that. So that is what conscription means. So back to our video. So this is, I'll play the video afterwards. But Britain may have no choice but to introduce conscription as the country remains absolutely not ready to defend Europe against the threat from Russia, a former colonel says. Well, I don't understand why UK has to defend Europe and be out of the European Union. I don't get that point. Do you get it? Because of Brexit, we are out of the European Union, but now they're saying we're not ready to defend Europe. Yet we're out of Europe, and Europe has other countries. What does the UK have to defend Europe? Yet it's out of the European Union, and the European Union is countries in there. So why have to conscript citizens who are not part of the EU? Why can they volunteer? So in case Russia is a threat to NATO, and NATO has many countries, I'm sure there's an army already. Am I wrong by saying there should be an army already ready for those who want to fight? Don't have to conscript. So Downing Street said air service would remain voluntary after the outgoing head of the British Army, General Sir Patrick Sanders, said earlier this week the UK should train and equip a citizen army. But Britain's former top NATO commander, General Sir Richard Sheriff, told Sky News a day later that it could be time to think the unthinkable and look carefully at conscription. On Sunday, former British Army colonel, that was yesterday, I'm guessing Tim Collins, agreed that it shouldn't be ruled out. The recruiting system that the armed forces has failed miserably. Mr. Collins, who is a parliamentary candidate for the Ulster Unionist Party, told Sunday Morning with Trevor Phillips on Sky News. I think what we have to do is to wake up and realize that Ukrainians are fighting for their liberty through the legal invasion from Russia, and if they do not win that, we are next. Now, why is the UK next, and yet we are far away? I thought it was saying Poland, all those, Latvia. Some countries around there were closer, but why would the UK be next? Well, it's something I don't know. So we are not sufficiently supporting the Ukrainians towards the victory that is essential to us as well as them. And secondly, we are not making provision for the case where they would fail and they collapse and we are next. And we need to be doing both of those things. If we are next, yes, I understand the part, but if we're not next, I don't get it why we need to go ahead. So I'll play the video for you.
You've recently been adopted as a parliamentary candidate for the Ulster Unionist Party. You're a military leader. You become a successful businessman. You've written a book. You've made documentary film. Why politics?
Well, I was actually approached by the political parties across the board from the unionist side to do this. It's not something I came up with myself. And having looked at it, I thought that actually Northern Ireland is being left behind. The people of Northern Ireland have gone without an assembly, which means that for nearly 2 years now, which means that the services and more importantly, the pay for the carers and the nurses and the council workers has lagged behind the rest of the United Kingdom, and it's simply not fair. And moreover, Northern Ireland is not really, its voice isn't being heard in Westminster sufficiently to bring the benefits of the United Kingdom to the people of Northern Ireland, and for that reason I decided it was something that I could do something about and I would do something about.
Perhaps one of the reasons that the voice of Northern Ireland isn't heard as loudly as it might be might not be to do with Westminster itself, but to do with the fact that the Stormont Assembly hasn't sat for ages. Now, we understand the Democratic Unionist Party is meeting tomorrow. We are led to believe to discuss the question of whether they might move to re-establish power sharing at Stormont. First of all, do you know if that's true? And secondly, if that is the case, do you think that's the right thing?
I think getting the assembly back up and running is the right thing. Yeah.
So I think that's it. Just other news. Don't want to go off topic here. So as you heard the man say, I think it might be the only option left. So yeah, that has woken me up completely. I was sitting uncomfortable, like, yep, the UK, we are safe, no chance happening here. But guess what? It's a wake-up call to me. I'm like, oh, wake-up call, big time. So the age is 18 to 41 for those who are enlisted. I am in the bracket, but you know, well, I have no further comments on that. Moving on to the Independent. Britain's face called up to fight in the armed forces if UK goes to war with Russia. That is if. So hopefully there will be no if, there will never have this war. Top army chief warns. Yet again, if NATO goes, that means UK is going to go. British men and women should be prepared for a whole of nation undertaking. If NATO goes to war with Russia, warns the head of the British Army. This was 4 days ago. Alright, I was hoping this was the video, but I don't think it is. So this is from Euronews. You can watch it as well in the background a bit. So this is NATO preparing. The chairman of NATO Military Committee.
Is in our societies the understanding that it is more than the military that has to be able to operate in a conflict or in a war. It is the whole of society that will get involved, whether we like it or not. I'm not saying it is going wrong tomorrow, but we have to realize it's not a given that we are in peace. And that's why we have the plans.
The simulated conflict is intended to deter Russia from targeting a NATO member state, though the Kremlin denies having any such intention. One practical goal of the drills is to work on fast troops deployment from North America to Europe. A NATO general said the exercise will be a clear demonstration of our unity, strength and resolve to protect each other.
So NATO is announcing the biggest exercise in history. So this video was, as I said before, it was speaking at a conference on armored warfare. Okay, let me scroll through it, shall I? Britain must be prepared to form a citizen army of tens of thousands in the event of a war with countries such as Russia. The head of the army has warned in an ominous intervention. Now, why is that? If you look at the video here, the head is here. The head is saying that.
The big difference with a year ago, I would say, Terry, is that there's a lot of things that have happened in the armed forces.
I see. So maybe you have to go to war as well, do I?
What hasn't happened is in our societies,
in our societies,
understanding that it is more than the military that has to be able to operate in a conflict or in a war. It is the whole of society that will get involved, whether we like it or not. I'm not saying.
So he's saying it's the whole of society that will get involved, whether we like it or not, and that's why I can see this is coming up. So what they are saying is that the whole of society is going to get involved, whether we like it or not. I guess that is true. Because if people are going to defend the country, they lack enough army personnel, they'll need more than just personnel. They might need funding, support, backup as well. So I'm guessing he's right. I never thought that day will come when we will think we all have to go to war. But carrying on, so General Sir Patrick Sanders said that his forces, including all reserves, will not be large enough to defend the country if there was a war, and it is now essential for Britain to lay the foundations for national mobilizations. My comment is, I think that's a good idea. On second thoughts, I think that's a good idea, because if there is a war, then we should be ready. If there's going to be war now, I guess times have changed. The peace is gone in this country. If the peace is going and people are going to fight against us, then we should be prepared to fight for the UK. So yeah, if there is war, and yeah, definitely we need to fight up, because you can see what is happening in London is just a version of what might happen across the country if it blows up. A lot of protests. People are hating our flag as well. People are actually stepping on the British flag. It's like, we don't want that flag anywhere here in our own country. So like, yeah, so maybe I changed my mind. It's really tough, but it's necessary, because if people are trying to attack us from the inside, then we crumble. So we must protect our borders and country. I think that's a great idea. So yes, he was right. I'm going to play it once more again, just to repeat what he said here.
War. It is the whole of
society that will get involved, whether we like it or not.
I'm not saying it is going wrong tomorrow.
Will not be tomorrow.
But we have to realize it's not a given that we are in peace.
That is true. It is not a given that we are in peace, especially now. And that's how my mind has been changed. It is not a given that we're in peace. Just because we are not expressing it at our doorstep doesn't mean we're not in peace. That's why the army is there for, to make sure there's peace in the residential areas. But if the army is not there, then the citizens will not experience peace, and that's me not experiencing peace. And so I must stand up and say, right, that's enough. So yes, I didn't think in that term. I didn't see his outlook now, but I see their point of view. If there is, just in case there is war, then yes, that means it will affect our peace, our transport systems, our food, our supermarkets, all that is going to go, our libraries, all that will be affected. So if we don't fight for what we love, then we should be prepared to lose. So we should fight for what we want to keep or want to hold on to in the country, isn't it? So let us come together, guys, just in case there's war in the UK. Because remember, it doesn't matter if we have different opinions. If we want to keep on our good livelihood here, that means we should fight for the country, isn't it? I love it because it's good, it's stable, we can do business, a lot of funding, a lot of community service, there's food available, there's so many charities operating. So all this was to collapse. That's us gone. Those who have less will feel the pain. So definitely, yeah, I see that. So it says his forces will not be, including all reserves, will not be large enough to defend the country if there was a war. And it was now essential for Britain to lay the foundations for national mobilization. I 100% think if that means keeping our peace, our comfort, our nice houses, our footy, going to the pub, our community service, then definitely we must defend it. If you're an adult capable of defending it. So he was speaking at a conference on armored warfare in southwest London. General Sanders said that within 3 years, Britain should be able to increase its army to 120,000, including regular soldiers, reserves, and a strategic reserve group, which is understood to mean retired troops who have been recalled. So according to the latest Ministry of Defense statistics, Army regulars and reservists currently total 102,520, only 18,000 more. Our friends in Eastern and Northern Europe who feel the proximity of the Russian threat more acutely are already acting prudently, laying the foundations for national mobilization, he said. The Chief of General Staff is said to be opposed to conscription, but held that civilians need to be involved in defending the country at a time of conflict. We need an army designed to expand rapidly to enable the first echelon, resource the second echelon, and train and equip the citizen army that must follow, he said. So I think that is, I understand, I think it's true. The Chief General said he is opposed to conscription, but held that civilians need to be involved in defending the country at a time of conflict. It is true. If you want to defend your country, you got to keep on having the benefits you get as a country, which gives you, then you should be able to defend it in times of war. Otherwise, you may have to be a refugee and you have to migrate as well. You have to use another power, another way of life, another language, another religion. You never know. So if you want to hold on to what you believe, then we must fight for that if you have to as a civilian. If there is no need, then that is fine. But if it comes to that, I'm guessing then is you fight for what you love or you watch it go, isn't it? So if worst comes to worst, then definitely here, I'm guessing he has a point in. So as the chairman of the NATO military committee warned just last week, and as the Swedish government has done, they're preparing Sweden for entry to NATO, taking preparatory steps to enable placing our societies on a war footing when needed are now not merely desirable but essential. I think so too. I think there is world war happening now. Now we've got Israel and Gaza, and then South Africa is taking Israel, taking the International Criminal Court, hey, stop that, and then other countries are getting involved. Then there was something happening in Iran the other day. I had Turkey as well. So it looks like the war is happening, even in Texas now as well. They're like, that's it, we don't want any more immigrants. Say no to the US government, we have our own state and we don't want people coming in. So war, I think, arming the civilians is getting essential. Because if the army is not there, then you should learn to protect yourself. So we will not be immune, and as the pre-war generation, we must similarly prepare. And that is a whole of nation undertaking. Asked about General Sanders' remarks, Rishi Sunak's official spokesperson said hypothetical scenarios about potential future conflicts were not helpful. When asked if he agreed with the general, the spokesperson replied simply no. And on whether Rishi Sunak could rule out conscription in future circumstances, they said there is no suggestion of that, you see, but the government has no intention to follow through with that. The British military has a proud tradition of being a voluntary force. There are no plans to change that. Plans change, my friend. The intervention by General Sanders comes just days after NATO military commander Admiral Bauer said that the military alliance needed to prepare for conflict with Vladimir Putin's forces in the next 20 years. He said that a large number of civilians will have to be called upon if conflict accelerated in Europe, and that governments needed to consider mobilization, reservist or conscription. I will not go through the whole topic. Well, Admiral Bauer said the discussion is much wider. People have to understand they play a role, that's true. That realization that not everything is plannable and not everything is going to be hunky-dory in the next 20 years. General Sanders added that the UK will not escape the consequences of all-out war, yes, of course, and must be prepared for what may lie ahead. He said Ukraine brutally illustrates that regular armies start wars. Citizen armies win them. Okay, so that is the article. It's quite a long article. I'm not going to go through it. It says Admiral Sir Tony Radakin, the head of the military, has pointed out that the army will be boosted over the next decade with a £44 billion program. General Sanders added the money is just 18% committed during an electoral cycle. Uncommitted money is vulnerable. Last week, General Sir Richard Dannett, a former General of Staff of the British Army, hit out at the shrinking size of the army. He said it had dropped from 102,000 personnel in 2006 to 74,000 today, and was falling fast. So apparently the British Army is only 74,000 strong because of this article. It says under government proposals, the size of the regular army will be cut to 73,000 troops by 2025. That's next year. But analysis by the time suggested numbers could drop below that as soon as next year and continue on a steep downward trajectory. If the army continues to shed troops at the current rate, the number of regular soldiers will fall below 70,000 by 2026, according to the figures compiled by the newspaper. And that is the article. I chose those two, but as you can see, the British Army is this. I'll play the video one more time at the beginning.
For the Ulster Unionist Party, you're a military leader. You become a successful businessman. You've written a book. You've made documentary film. Why politics?
Well, I was actually approached by the political parties across the board from the unionist side to do this. It's not something I came up with myself. And having looked at it, I thought that actually Northern Ireland is being left behind. The people of Northern Ireland have gone without an assembly, which means that for nearly 2 years now, which means that the services are more important.
To do with the fact that the Stormont Assembly hasn't...
and I'm optimistic that in Northern Ireland was in every...
Well, indeed, and it's interesting that this is the best way. You've got a big voice, whether you're an MP or not.
All right, I'll play it one more time. Here we are. So this one is happening. For those who just joined, in summary of what we just heard.
NATO announced on Thursday a new military exercise set to be the largest since the Cold War. Steadfast Defender 2024 will start next week and run through until May. Will start next
So they're saying more than 90,000 troops across 21
week and run through
countries.
until May. Defender
31 NATO
2024
countries
will
plus
start
Sweden to
next
participate.
week and run through until May. The
There is a big war coming.
exercise
There is a
will
big
feature
war
more
coming.
than 90,000 troops
And I think it's time, as you said,
from
for a
alliance
citizen
countries
army.
plus Sweden.
The big difference with a year ago, I would say, Terry, is that there's a lot of things that have happened in the armed forces and in the defense organizations. What hasn't happened is in our societies the understanding that it is more than the military that has to be able to operate in a conflict.
It's more than
or in a
military.
war.
No,
It
it's
is the
not.
whole of society that will get involved, whether we like it or not. I'm not saying it is going wrong tomorrow, but we have to realize it's not a given that we are in peace. And that's why we have the plans.
The simulated conflict is intended.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen. So that is a. Oh, so definitely, yeah, that is waking me up. Not being in a peaceful country and all that for so long. You may think that that's it. We are not going to get involved, and now it's what it does. But the man was right. It's about everyone winning. Sometimes it's started by the army, but some citizens have to get involved as well. Because if the army fails, then they come for citizens, then that's citizens done. It's your way of life gone. Especially now in the UK, when we're taking refugees, some seekers are coming in. A lot of charities are helping, a lot of supermarkets, a lot of infrastructure going on. So if that is lost, then don't know what to say, but that's a big loss to the world and others who want to come here, isn't it? Think about it. We have asylum seekers who are seeking asylum here. I don't know how many numbers there are. We have people who are working in different parts of the world. If the system fails, then all those have failed. How will those people be catered to? Think about it that way. Those who want benefits on universal credit. If it's not universal credit, what are they going to do? How are they going to be sustained? And if you're British as well, think about it that way. If the army wins, fair enough, but if the army fails and they come into war, are you going to sit back and just relax and say, you know what, I'm going to fight because I'm not an army person, let them take over? There are those who will, but if you want to fight, maybe it's time to fight for what you love. I look around and see, man, we don't get along with everyone, but still, we don't want it to end. Doesn't matter who is fighting. I'm not saying it's the war, but anyone who comes to take away your peace in your own country and you're enjoying it, I don't think you should sit down and say, okay, fine, take care. There are those who will give and those who want it to happen, but for those who want to keep our country safe and secure, regardless of what people say about it, it's a way of life. You take it or you live it. You would defend your own country, wouldn't you? I'm hoping you would. But yeah, but to be honest, yeah, so the man said, doesn't mean we are in peace, and I agree. Once the government and the army is involved, I don't think there's peace for the civilians in most cases, because others now want to pour in, and it's true. If the army and the government are at war or funding somebody's war, then that means society is part of it. Society is affected. Society has been affected. Look at America now. They're funding the goal, and people are paying taxes and it's going there, not feeding them. So they are affected by the wars. And so, right, that is true. Doesn't mean we are in peace because we're not fighting. Look at Texas now. The people are coming together to make a border across the state borders, I'm guessing. They have defied. The US government said, no, we don't want people. They said, no thanks. So they have their own army in Texas. So if others see that and they say, so they stood up, then others can stand up for themselves as well. And that's that government gone. So I guess he was right. The wars are started by the army, but then they're finished by the citizens. I had that very clearly. So some wars are started by armies and they are finished by citizens. I think it's time for the citizens to stand up and say, you know what, after TV, social media, it's time to fight as well. Because if this goes, then we lose our rights, and you lose your social media, you lose your car, you lose your house. If worst comes to worst, it's better you fight, so you have a chance of carrying it on or living on tomorrow, isn't it? That is my great wisdom on this. Why? I was so relaxed and I thought, never. We've got the army, we've got laws. Yeah, forget it. So I was like, oh God, no, it's British, no, Britain, I'll be okay, mate. But no, actually we are not. It is safe at the law level, but if the government and the army is in war, if somebody comes here, then that means, oh, they won't care that, oh, we don't care, we have a house, we don't care about you, we want to take over, and that's it. Do you want a new government, a new way of life? We don't think so, unless it's better, but chances are there'll be martial law, where you're told you must do this, you must do that. It's not freedom as the UK gives you freedom, so to fight for the British freedom, you must fight as a civilian or as a citizen. I want to get trained. I would like to get trained and join as a fighter. Because I see war is coming definitely, and people are prepared to protest against the British flag in the UK as well. So even if it is your country as well, are you prepared to fight for your own nation? Are you prepared to fight for your own nation if worst comes to worst? They said if, as I said, the society is involved, especially now. Because the taxes go and people cannot be looked after, cannot be sustained. In the UK, until we have people who are on low income, we have asylum seekers, we have refugees, we have people on universal credit. If the system breaks, then all those are finished, kaput, gone. There'll be homelessness, there'll be theft, there'll be murder, there'll be all that, there'll be killings, there'll be lootings, there'll be protests, there'll be no police, they'll overpower the police, and that's the peace gone. Once the peace is undermined and the law is undermined, that's it, that's gone. Anybody can do anything to anyone and they will get away with it. Now it's not that good. The law is there, it's firm, it's good, but if we lose our laws and our firm judicial system, that means anyone can do anything to you and they can get away with it. That's not a good thing. That means that's your freedom gone. You gotta walk with 2 eyes at the back as well, on the side as well. You gotta prepare. That means your peace and your safety is gone. Yeah, it's gonna be bad for those who are living a good life, but that means that's it, you're on your own. But yeah, so definitely that's what I wanted to show you. In summary, yes, I agree. Definitely, we must. I didn't say what part. I never wanted to be in the army, but I realized yes, now I must be part of the army if worst comes to worst. Why? Because if you don't believe in war or violence, fair enough. You don't believe, but it's going to affect you. Why? Because you are part of society. If others who believe in war come to attack you, they won't say, right, okay, you don't believe in war, so we'll let you off. No, they'll take you along. So whether you believe it or not, it's about standing up. If you don't believe in war, fine, don't go to war. But if others who believe in war, come to fight you, they will attack you without thinking twice. So think about it that way. It's not about your beliefs, but others who are intending to fight you, to put you down, they won't think twice. You might think, oh, because of my religion, I'm this, they won't attack me. I think like that. Oh, because we're here, they won't bother. But no. Everybody's different. So prepare yourself. Get ready in case things go down. That is my summary to all of you there. So I hope you enjoyed this session of the show. And let me know in the comments, what are your thoughts? Because Britain was a first world country and we never really went to war. We've been having so much peace. But for the last 2 years, I've been seeing things have changed in the UK, and there's a lot of protests, a lot of unruliness. It's getting out of hand, and now we're going to go. I can see it's moving somewhere. If you look far ahead, he's right. I'll prepare for war. I'm ready to prepare for war, because if somebody comes to fight, I'm going to say, oh, no, please don't hurt me. Please get off my lawn, don't touch my car. No chance. A bomb is a bomb, a gun's a gun. Shoot you, you're down. For me, no, I don't go down easy like that. I am going to go down after a fight. And guess what? I don't plan to go down. So get my troops going on. As I said, the citizens should fight the war. So I'm going to get my troops ready. Troops, arm yourselves. Let us fight for ourselves, because it looks like the armies are kind of holding back. So it's time for us to stand up and be the army that we need to be to fight. Otherwise, we lose our freedoms. That has been a wake-up call to me. That is a wake-up call. So let us up. All you men here, think about it that way. Maybe having a club, maybe having a wife, maybe having a social media following. Think about what happens when it's war and it affects you. All that you might lose. It is true. You're a citizen, you're working in a professional job, but if the army can't defend you, who's going to defend you? Especially if you're a man. Are you going to say, oh no, I'm going to law? There'll be no law, there'll be no army, there'll be no police. What are you going to do? Sit down and just wait and look at your family being taken away? Your banks will be frozen, bank accounts, because it's all digital. How will you survive? So learn, think ahead for those who are wise, think ahead. Right now, society has been dumbed down, the men have been made very docile. But if you can't fight, fair enough. Let others do the fighting. But when worst comes to worst, and when the tough gets going, when the going gets tough, the tough should get going. So if you're tough, come join me. Come together. Let's build our own army and prepare to help defend ourselves, our livelihoods, and our women. It's about defending our women and our children. As men, we should be ready to protect our women and our children. Not every woman, our children, our livelihood. Because without them, what do we have left? Our prosperity might go. We have a business, but because we have women, our child, we must protect them. Yes, so that is a wake-up call for me. That is a big wake-up call. We've been hiding behind social media or videos or channeling, and the war is coming to our front door. Can you fight? Can Josh fight? I'm a warrior. I can fight. I am going to fight. I'm not going down for the fight. If you say, Josh, come, I'm going to fight you, like, mate, let's go. It's true now. I think the time of peace is coming to an end for many places, many first world countries. And if the peace ends in the United States and the UK, if the peace ends, then there's going to be war all over. That's where the law is tight, and there's armies of fierce that would hold, and the law would be kept, and those penalties and the judicial system. But if that goes and others can, then we are doomed. So I'm going to fight. I'm in the war. I'm going to rally my arsenal and my troops. And like, guys, time to fight. You don't have to agree. We're not on the same side, but you're fighting for your future. Don't have to be the same religion, not the same color, but if you fight for the same cause, then we can go back to our livelihoods. But for now, we must come together and say, you know what, let us do this. So put away your differences, tribalisms for now. If you love them, keep them for later. Put them in the fridge, come back to them. But let's fight so we keep our freedom, so we can be able to keep on disagreeing. Think about it. If we all dying, we won't have time to disagree. We all laugh at each other. Let's come together, we fight. Once we win, right, go back to whatever you love doing, isn't it? But all in all, this is a wake-up call. If Britain is being conscripted and the United States, how about those who don't have the power to? They'll be forced without that. So you might be next. You never know. But for us, think ahead and we are wiser. Now I'm going to start training, praying for the future, getting an army. I'm being honest. I am in 100%. Because now I see it. If it's coming to the UK, and the many people protesting from other countries, they're fighting and they're serious. So why ain't I serious? If I was who don't appreciate the country or fighting for it, why am I not fighting with the country? Oh, I wasn't born here. I just grew up here. Doesn't matter. You're here. If others are fighting for it, you should do the same. So you can enjoy what you have here, isn't it? It's not about accepting the ways, but to enjoy what you have. It could be family, it could be business, which is here. So fight for it. Join me so we can fight for the army. The army of Jehudian army. So join the Joshua Jehudah army. Let's fight. Let's get ready, prepared. If things go bad, we're ready to defend ourselves. Yes. Look after yourselves. Have a great day, and I shall see you another time. Shalom, shalom, shalom. Peace.